Hi and welcome to a brand new episode of the Indulge Podcast with me, Roma Laishram. And today, like every single week, I have someone super interesting in conversation with Indulge, none other than Bindu Subramaniam. I am a huge fan. I love the work that Bindu and Ambi do with their musical institute in Bangalore, and they're also amazing musicians. And so, this is an honor for me to be in conversation with her. So, let's just get right into the conversation. Welcome to the Indulge Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This is
my pleasure. So, let's get directly into it. Like with every musician, my first question is always, how did you discover music, and why did you decide to make it such a big part of your life?
Well, I would say that I was born into a family where there was a lot of music around me, so music sort of became a default in that sense. But I struggled against it for many years, saying that, I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to do many other things. And I saw music as an intrinsic part of who I am and not necessarily a career path. So it took some time to realize that, music is really important to me, and I don't see myself living a life where I'm not performing or I'm not participating in music in many other ways.
So when did it start? Like when did you start learning music, professionally? And considering that you spent a few of your early years in the United States, how different is the situation? I mean, I know you lived in Bangalore for a long time, and here kind of connecting to a musical audience or a musical community is easy. But was it the same in your, formative years?
I think the advantage of having been born in the US to an Indian family is that I had access to high quality music education on both the Indian and the Western side.
Lovely.
At a very young age. And because our father is so open-minded and so keen to explore different musical styles, we were all learning like Western classical piano, violin, voice, along with Indian classical violin, Indian classical voice. So I think the formative years was really about doing a lot of different styles of music. And then as we grew older, all of us were trying to figure out how do we create our own pathways that make sense to us. And in terms of audiences, I've never thought about it in a way that, an Indian audience is different from an American audience, but it's just instinctively after a point in time when you're in front of a group of people, you're like, I think this is what the audience needs, or this is what they want, or this is what they're responding to.
So as you've grown up, I've noticed you come from a very strong, as you just said, a Western school of thought when it comes to music. You've also been trained traditionally in Indian classical music. I'm sure as an artist, though, be it a musician or a vocalist, you've always tried to find your own unique identity. How has that process been?
I mean, it's been exciting, and I think now in my role as a mentor, I get to work with so many young people. I find such joy in helping them discover their voices as well.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a continuously ongoing process. You're a dancer, right? So you know that you're always continuously evolving this artistic
all the time,
identity that you have, and whether you're obviously learning when you're learning, but even when you're teaching, you're learning. When you're performing, you're learning. So it's something that is continually evolving. And for me, a lot of the discovery process was around, I come from a very strong tradition, and I love and respect that tradition, but really, where is my authentic voice? And if my authentic voice, as it is in English, how does this fit with where I'm from? Or if my authentic expression is a 3-minute pop song and not a 45-minute Raga Lavna, how does that fit? So a lot of it is kind of a conversation with yourself about, this is where I come from and this is where I'm going, but this is where I feel I am my most authentic. And there's no right answer. It's a continuously evolving thing. So sometimes if I look at something that I wrote 15 years ago, I was like, wow, was I really that angry? Or, if I look, so I think it's great. And I think as long as you don't take yourself too seriously, this journey is always exciting.
Super. Now, musician, composer, singer, teacher, you've done multiple things already in life. What do you think comes naturally the most to you? Something that you really feel is your most organic? And we always choose one of these things as our favorite.
Yeah.
So
I think what comes most naturally to me is connecting with people.
Lovely.
And kind of portraying an authentic self. And music is my medium of expression for that. So I would say that's where I start. And that just connects up in in a
Okay.
variety of different ways. So I'm still the same person, but I believe that none of us are really one thing. We don't have that
Absolutely.
box that
True,
we fit
true.
into. It's not that, we're not our grandparents' generation where you started somewhere and retired at the same company. So it's really
True.
just, this is who I am. And I'm grateful that it gets to manifest in different ways, that I can go on stage and talk about experiences one day and connect with people that way, or I can go on stage and perform and sing a song that I've written and connect that way, or I can be sitting in a room with young songwriters and connect that way. So it's really, or write a textbook and connect. So it's all the same thing. It's just different ways of manifesting that same desire to connect through music.
We're in your institution right now in beautiful Sanjay Nagar, and I've heard so much about the work you do. But could you kind of summarize it for us? What does the institution do, and where do you want it to go in the next few years?
Well, firstly, thank you for coming over.
My
It's
pleasure.
a pleasure to have you here.
My
SaPa, and it's obviously an acronym for the Subramaniam Academy of Performing Arts, and we felt very clever about the fact that it's the notes Sa and Pa as well. My brother came up with that. We always have kind of thought of it as a home for the next generation of musicians,
Lovely.
a home for global music, and a place where you can come and really find your own artistic path. And that manifests differently for different people. We have children who come in as young as 1.5 and join a parent-toddler program, and then they can get into different courses. We have adults who come to us who want to kind of rediscover something that they connected with when they were children, or want to live out that passion, that's something that they never had a chance to do. So many people who I loved music as a kid, but I got stuck with academics. Do you think I can do it now? Am I too old? The answer is no. If it's something that brings you joy, do it at any point. And we have a lot of foreign artists who want to come here and kind of understand aspects of Indian music that they can then relate back to their own styles. And we've been around since 2007, but in 2013 and 2014 was when I really wanted us to focus more on teaching classical music to babies. And at that time, we started something called the SaPa Baby Program.
Lovely.
Because there was this misconception that classical music is something for serious people,
True,
it's something
true.
for older people, and also unless you come from a background of classical music, it's not something that you can access. So we wanted to make classical music fun and cool again,
Super.
at least for the babies. And we realized that the music has always been great, right?
Very
It's-
true, very true.
It's the methodology that had to change. So if a child is not understanding and appreciating the music, let's assume that it's a teacher's fault. It's not the fault of the child, and it's not the fault of the music, because
is
those
so
are two things
refreshing.
you can't
True,
change. Let's assume that
Yeah.
we can do something better. So as educators, what is it that we can do? So we started there, and we currently teach Carnatic music across vocal and a variety of instruments. We teach Hindustani music, we teach Western classical and contemporary. And a lot of our students have sort of found their own pathways, because
Lovely.
now our first lot of babies who came to us at 3, 4, 5 years of age are all hitting adulthood.
Wow.
So it's really exciting to see this explosion of, our students who are going out and their pieces are being performed by string quartets in the US, or our kids who are hitting teenage and releasing their music on Spotify and being featured in Rolling Stone. And then you have these kids who are saying, okay, let's work together and let's do this. And their identities could be Carnatic violinist plus English pop songwriter plus graphic designer, or
Amazing, yeah.
and I think that's what we love about this, that this is a very dynamic space. And so many of our teachers are also young musicians, older musicians who are looking for better ways to communicate or to find their audience, to find their collaborators. So we really think of ourselves as a home for all of that.
That's absolutely amazing. Now I'm quickly going to shift focus to you personally. You've done multiple collaborations. You've composed a lot of things. We constantly see videos coming out from the both of you, and you also sometimes. What are you working on currently, and what is the next big thing for Bindu Subramaniam?
All right, so I am excited about a few things. On the SaPa side, which we briefly discussed, I'm really excited about a new course that we're launching, which is called the Foundation Course, where for the first time we're bringing together Carnatic, Hindustani, and Western classical music, vocal, stringed instruments, wind instruments, and putting it together for 4 to 10-year-olds. So
that is amazing.
in 3 months, you get a complete exposure to all the different styles of music and all. So you can really discover what you're passionate about, because I feel that kids need to have an opportunity to try things, and parents are very keen to give kids this opportunity. So that's one big thing I'm really excited about. Personally, there's always new music that Ambi and I are making as part of Subramania. I'm also working with a longtime friend and collaborator, Varun Woodley, who's the producer and guitarist for Swaratma as well. And we are working on bringing out some new music together. So
Lovely.
I'm excited about how that's going to pan out.
And when can we hear the next release from you?
Maybe in the next few weeks. We've got
lovely.
some stuff that we've just mastered that we're excited to share.
Lovely.
And yeah.
Super. So many people out there are so scared to get into, studying music, especially when it comes to the classical forms, be it, Carnatic, Hindustani or Western. As a music educator yourself, what could you tell my audience right now who might have that small little itch to learn music? How do we convince them to cross that threshold and start taking music up professionally if it's something that they're really passionate about?
That's a great question. As an educator, the thing that I'd really like to say is you should do things that bring you joy. And for so many of us, music is an important part of our lives. We all have these soundtracks to our lives. We have music that we keep coming back to, music that's part of our everyday, whether it's music that we need to cry to or music that we need to celebrate to. And being able to sing or play an instrument is just an extension of that expression. So really, when you get into a music class, think about what it feels like for you to be in music, and don't worry about the judgment aspect of it and what am I going to do in front of 10,000 people. Start with that place of joy inside yourself and find your own musical voice, and everything works from there.
Amazing. I'm going to end with my last question for Bindu. So, who were your biggest inspirations while you were growing up across the world? People that you listened to and kind of paved the path that you chose to take?
Well, my dad has been my greatest inspiration. Even when I was rebelling as a teenager and wanted to do a completely different style of music, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go and listen to jazz, and then I found out that, he's collaborated with all the jazz people. And then I'm like, no, I like rock. And then, of course, he's collaborated with George Harrison. So it's very hard to be musically rebellious at home. But apart from that, I grew up listening to a lot of Mariah Carey, a lot of Ella Fitzgerald, a lot of M.S. Subbulakshmi. So as a kid, it was really these great voices that I was in love with. And then as I grew older and started songwriting in Berkeley, it was more of, Adam Levine and John Mayer and like these songwriters who are so good at their craft. So, and of course, I think Taylor Swift is just fabulous, the way that she handles everything, truly.
Absolutely. An absolute diva. Yeah. Amazing. On that wonderful note, we come to the end of this conversation. Thank you so much for your time, Bindu. It's been an absolute pleasure. This has been the Indulge Podcast with Roman Lyshtram, and we come back to you every single week with wonderful conversations from people from the worlds of art, culture, lifestyle, and lots more. Thank you.